So I really like collecting things, whether it's old expired boxes of cereal, pieces of plastic, shoes, pieces of plastic, the souls of people that aren't subscribed, or pieces of plastic. But of all the things I've collected over the years, I have to say my favorite is definitely pieces of plastic that can be used in video games. Toys to Life is by far my favorite thing to waste money on. There's just something so fascinating about being able to play as a character in a game and then physically own that character in real life so I could stick them in a jar. Sadly, Toys to Life is pretty much a dead concept in 2023, with the only real survivor being Amiibo. And let's be entirely honest here, no one on the planet has ever bought an Amiibo for the actual purpose of an Amiibo. Just look at me. I have all of these and have literally not once used a single one for their intended purpose. Instead, I just like to stand and look at them. Now, before I ever became a major investor in the Amiibo stock market, I had a different obsession. Skylanders. You've probably seen every other person on this website talk about Skylanders recently, but now it's my turn, since I've spent way too much money on this stuff over the years, and I'm going to talk about it, okay? I feel like many people can relate with this, but my first introduction to Skylanders was through a TV commercial while I was indulging in unhealthy amounts of Cartoon Network. Specifically, the commercial I saw was this one for Spyro's Adventure, which had this little, goblin wielding some guns. Hashtag America, hashtag True Patriot, hashtag January 6th, hashtag Amendment. Spyro's Adventure is the first game in the Skylanders franchise, releasing in 2011, and the marketing push that Activision did for this game was outstanding. One of my most fond childhood memories was going to Target, and in the game aisle, they used to have the entire Skylanders setup with a demo portal and this epic screen that constantly replayed some generic promotional video, and let me tell you, baby LaiyenZ ate that promotional video up like a full-course meal. To say I got brainwashed by the corporate marketing strategies of a massive toy/video game company would be an absolute understatement. I basically drank the Skylanders Kool-Aid and was ready to risk my 8-year-old life for this franchise. The only issue is, well, I actually never even owned Spyro's Adventure. Here's the thing, my mom did not want to spend $69.99 on a video game. However, I still had the opportunity to play Spyro's Adventure as a kid because one of my childhood friends owned it, and I would constantly just go to his house, sit in his basement, and play the game for hours. And to be honest, that kind of describes how my life is right now as a 20-year-old yeah. My friend and I were kinda brain dead though, so we never actually beat the game together. But the endless hours of just exploring the Skylands was so fun. Also, not enough people talk about how good the music was in these games. Just listen to this. Interestingly enough, before Skylanders Spyro's Adventure even became a thing, it was originally going to be a more mature Spyro game called Spyro's Kingdom. It all started when Toys for Bob got the chance to revive any dead Vivendi franchise they wanted, and although it should have been Crash Bandicoot, they chose Spyro. After months of going back and forth and coming up with a bunch of different ideas, they decided to scrap the mature Spyro game for the concept we now know as Skylanders. And Zooey Mama, did Toys for Bob make a good financial decision, since the entire world fell in love with these little figures. Each individual Skylander cost $7.99, and there was a total of 32 figures to collect. And in addition to the 32 regular Skylanders, there were some variants. For example, there was this Dark Spyro, which released in the 3DS starter pack, and then there were the legendary variations, which released in a bundle exclusive to Toys R Us. Although I never owned Spyro's Adventure, I do have some Skylanders from that generation for some reason. For example, we have this Warnado, and then this Drobot. I also have Flame Slinger, don't forget about him, and I also have Camo, which is personally my favorite Skylander of all time, since I really like lizards for some reason, and I also have a pet lizard. His name is Bartholomew Bowser Jr. Following the success of Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, Activision knew that they had an absolute money-making machine machine on their hands. So just a year later, in 2012, they released Skylanders Giants. And also, this is when I come into the picture. Skylanders Giants for the 3DS was my very first game in the franchise, and let me tell you something. I'm a dumbass. So at the time, I didn't realize that the 3DS version of Skylanders differed from the console version. So when my mom finally caved in and said she would get me a starter set, I chose the 3DS one because I love the 3DS. But then I got stuck with this. Yeah, so I've never actually had the opportunity to experience the real Skylanders Giants in its true form, since the 3DS version of the game has a totally different plot. But I still had an amazing time playing the game, mainly because I was just excited to finally own Skylanders after wanting them for so long. The entire gimmick around Skylanders Giants is pretty simple. These guys, aka the Giants, could be used to do stuff in game that regular Skylanders couldn't, like lift stuff, throw stuff, and destroy stuff. Also, these figures, like the name implies, were giant in comparison to regular Skylanders, but in my opinion, size doesn't really matter, and in reality, these Skylanders are just enough, and maybe even above average. There was a total of 8 Giants that released, or 1 for each element, and they also did some special variations, like the Granite Crusher, Legendary Bouncer, Scarlet Ninjini, and Gnarly Tree Rex. Personally, from this era of Skylanders, I only own 4 figures. The Tree Rex Giant, which you may recognize since there are so many in circulation to the point that they are polluting the planet. I also have this Series 2 Cinder, a Legendary Slam Bam, and this tiny little Thumpling. After another successful attempt of taking money from children, Activision decided, let's make Skylanders a yearly tradition. So in 2013, they released Skylanders Swap Force, and in 2014, they released Skylanders Trap Team. Now, this time around, I learned from my past mistakes and did not buy the 3DS version. Instead, I got both of these games for my Xbox 360. For Swap Force, the entire gimmick is pretty self-explanatory. Literally, if you just took a second to read the name and use the 2 cells bouncing around in your brain, you would know that you could, swap stuff. Swap Force is personally my favorite gimmick that Activision and Toys for Bob were able to cook up, since it gave me the creative freedom to make custom Skylanders such as this. As for Trap Team, the gimmick was actually really creative. You would use these plastic little things called traps in order to capture different villains you would defeat in the game, and then you could use those villains to fight with you. The Swap Force and Trap Team era of Skylanders is also when I was the most dedicated to this franchise. I was going to every event that Toys R Us would hold, and if I wasn't playing the games, I would be watching the GOATs. The Skylander Boy and Girl. That YouTube channel was basically the only thing I watched for 2 years straight, because those Skylander hunting videos they did were like crack. I have a lot of Skylanders from Swap Force and Trap Team, and this was also around the time when my brain started to convince itself that the word special edition or variant version meant they were super valuable and rare. For example, during the 2013 holiday season when they launched the Jolly Bumble Blast figure, I absolutely lost my mind, since it was a Christmas-themed version of hit character Bumble Blast. The final Skylanders game that I ever purchased was Superchargers, which released back in 2015, and in all honesty, I have 0 memories associated with this game. The main reason is because I bought my very first gaming PC and began my descent into degeneracy the same year this game released. However, that didn't stop me from buying the special edition Halloween Frightful Fiesta figure. I have no clue why I bought this, since I barely played the game at the time, but he does look kinda drippy though. Now, one of my biggest regrets from this era of Skylanders is not buying the 3DS or Wii versions of the game, since they both came with a Bowser figure. Also, the Wii U version of Superchargers came with a Donkey Kong figure. So, I guess you could say I did miss out not owning a Wii U until 2022. What hurts my soul even more is the fact that I missed out on the dark editions of these figures, which look so cool, and as a crippling amiibo addict, I want them so bad. The final Skylanders game to ever come out was Skylanders Imaginators, and I'm gonna say it now, I didn't even know this game existed until like 2 weeks ago. Also, why is the Switch version $439 on Amazon? When I learned about this game and the fact that it was on the Nintendo Switch, I actually got really interested and wanted to buy it so I could maybe give it a try, write a review, who knows. But now I am absolutely dumbfounded because the game by itself is selling on eBay for $200. I don't know why it's so expensive, and to be honest, I have no interest in looking it up, but I do kinda want to buy it. So if this video gets 500 likes, I'll try to find a good deal on the game and then play it over on my Twitch. I hope you all enjoyed this nice trip down memory lane. Skylanders has had such a huge impact on my life and is the reason why I'm a degenerate Nintendo collector. So I wanted to share some of my childhood stories with you today. Comment down below your favorite Skylanders memory, and also make sure to subscribe since, as we all know, bigger number equals better person.